Welcome everybody, or our one loyal viewer, to Nain Shorts. Back again in Physique Magnifique, the home of the bladed mind, a great place to be for those who don't want the pressures of the gym where people are walking around with, big old muscles and looking all mean and aggro because of the steroids that they take. I don't know where that came from. Anyways, if you're ever in the area in South San Francisco, that's 387 Grand Avenue. It's a wonderful place to play and get some stuff done. There's a lot to do here, folks, including sticks, which we train as often as we possibly can, along with other things. And different concepts come up throughout the week, throughout every class, things that we realize could be good topics and then forget about because we have a bad habit of not writing things down. I need to work on that, actually. I need to start writing shit down. But this week actually wasn't that hard to remember because it's something that has been said from the beginning of my martial arts journey till now, and it's still prevalent, and it's still something that I'm not 100% great at, but I'm working on it. And I'm starting to see different benefits that kind of arise from it. Or it's complete and utter crap. Because the first time I heard it, it was said like this. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast, fast is power. In relations to being able to swing the stick smoother, which gives you speed, which can then generate power, simple physics, distance, all that. But really, at the time, all I thought was, well, they're just old and can't move very fast, so they want us to slow down so they don't look like jackasses. I was wrong in that assumption, because oftentimes they don't have to be fast. And why is that? Why is it that they tell us to slow down and we don't, because we often have to be told again to slow down because we get really hyped and we start moving really fast and we start going hard, and all of a sudden we get hit because they're getting tired and they don't want to move that fast. So there's some truth to them being old. But if we look beyond that, if we start really paying attention to, and remember, if you've been watching some of these episodes, I have this background journey of learning to fight like an old master. And there's a reason why they go slow. There's a reason why they don't need to go fast. Now I want to say that again. They do not need to go fast. One, they have enough experience where they could probably see a lot of what we do to them coming, that they're already moving before we even realize what it is we want to do. So they're pretty much ready for whatever's happening, the good ones. But in the process of learning as a newer student, if we can learn to slow down, well, it literally allows our brain to pick up on more information. Just because we can do something fast doesn't mean we're doing it well. And even if we are doing it well at speed, doesn't mean we can't do it better. Time and time again, it's been proven to me by not just my instructors, but other instructors that I've had the pleasure of conversing with and played with, that it's the understanding of what you're doing that allows you to actually use it in real time, in application, not just the amount of techniques that you have or the number of years that you've been practicing. It's really getting to the nitty-gritty of, okay, at what point is this movement making contact? I can just move my arm, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is something I'm hitting. Now we can just go ahead and hit something, and now we know for sure where it is. But if you don't understand at what point that contact happens, whether there is something in front of you or not, well then, do you really understand that strike? Do you know this is the point of contact? This is where everything drops. This is where my knee kind of creates that lowering balances, where I drop my weight because this is the point where I want to make contact. And I want to emphasize this again, that I want to make contact. Not that I happen to make contact because there was an object there, but I want to learn to hit when I want, when I want. So my mechanics need to reference that. My mechanics need to coincide with what I want to accomplish. So shadow boxing, which is essentially what we're doing here, or a carenza or saya, whatever you want to call it, should be representative of actually making contact. This is a hit to the head. This is a hit to the knee. I need to understand. This is where, if there was something there, I would feel the shock. So my body needs to understand that that's what's happening. Everything else needs to coincide. If we're just moving for the sake of moving, sure, it looks great, I'm assuming. But what does it amount to? We're not really learning or understanding anything more other than looking good. Which, if that's what you're going for, by all means, keep going, you look great. But if we're really trying to understand, we do need to slow down, whether we're practicing with somebody, whether we're going through the techniques that we know, whether we're going through our piñons and our forms. We should, in our minds, my opinion, have an understanding of what those movements really mean in the real world when you're actually making contact. And going fast, you never have the time to actually see those things or consider different directions in which we can take it. From this strike, oh, something's coming. Let me switch directions. Sure, somebody can come out to you and say, hey, this is a different technique. But is it really a different technique if all I'm doing is keeping myself safe? Which is more of a concept of saying, hey, you're exposing your hand, somebody's going to hit it, oh, I'm going to learn to drop it so then I negate the exposure or the danger that I'm doing in creating this one strike. So now we're analyzing our own movements to understand, where can I do it better? How can I do it better? Where can I change? What else can I add? How can I blend the different movements together? And where can I make that blend happen so it becomes seamless? And how can I make it more effective, more efficient? All these things we can then explore if we're moving slow enough. No way we can do it fast. If we throw, say for example, a kick, and it's a good kick, and you make contact, and it's effective, can you throw that same kick slowly? I know at this point I can't. And the understanding part is what's going to help you use these movements in application later on. That is my honest belief. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But so far, many people have proven that idea right. But going beyond that, now I'm talking about me personally. What else can I learn from the idea of going slow? Not just the understanding, but how can I make it more practical for me? And I started realizing that as I'm doing things slowly, I start getting a sense of where my body is and what it's doing. I start getting a sense that maybe as I'm moving, I don't have the best balance. I don't have the best structure. So it starts pushing me to correct myself, to remember the old lessons from the big footwork, or even the triangle footwork, which we've said before, nobody fights that way. But I start understanding the significance of why we train it that way and the benefits that come from it. I started realizing that there is a lot of instability in the little joints, the little bits. Now again, is that necessary for you to survive an actual fight? Probably not. As long as you can move and get the hell out of the way, you have an understanding. You've seen people who are physically broken still be able to do something significant enough to be able to get out of a serious situation. But this is my journey and I still have my health to a certain degree. So I want to see how far I can push it. I've adopted the idea that I am the weapon. This is a tool. This thing can't hurt you without me putting it in my hand and having the intent to swing it at you and do something significant. So it's an extension of what the real weapon is, and that's my body. And in going slow, I've realized the things that I'm lacking. And because of that, it's actually directed my exercises at the gym. The way I do my squats, the way I lift weights, the way I practice my martial arts is now being affected by the simple idea of going slow because of the things that I now notice, the weaknesses that I feel. And in that process of figuring out and then adapting to refine the weapon to whatever degree I can take it to. Like any weapon that requires sharpening or requires oil or requires knowing the mechanics behind it so you can fix it, put it apart, or put it back together and still have it function. That's what I'm trying to do with my body, and this idea, now revisited, is giving me so much insight on where I need to go based on what my body is telling me. Something that I would never be able to figure out if I'm just moving through, if I'm just plowing through all the motions, going as fast as I possibly can. Instead, slow down. Where does this contact happen? Where does this motion go? Where else can it go? What if it changes? What am I now accomplishing with the same movements? I don't know if you noticed, but at the end, I moved from hitting with the point of the stick to using my puño. It was a subtle difference, but in my head, I had the time to change what I was trying to do with the same motions. And what can I accomplish? Techniques that you've seen before and have been taught before individually, but now I'm trying to use them in my flow, randomly, with actual thought process behind it. And further than that, I'm changing my exercises so that I can better strengthen the weapon itself. And it even made me realize and appreciate some of the very old school way of training. I've heard stories of guys having to dig a hole about shoulder deep, and then have their ankles and their knees tied together and told, you need to jump out of that hole 100 times, and if you fall, the count starts all over again. I've heard about people getting tied upside down from their feet, having to do their crunches and things like that. It sounds crazy, and I don't think insurance would cover any of that nowadays. But I can understand why they did it. I can understand why horse stances were being held for 20, 30 minutes, because it strengthens different parts of the leg, the base of everything, in ways that just running won't do, just doing squats won't do. The little ligatures and little muscle groups that we don't think about, the stabilizing stuff, the things that physical therapists have you strengthen whenever you get an injury. Those are the bits that I'm now focused on, because those are the ones that are going to give me the stability to be able to do a kick, slow motion, without wobbling. Right now, that knee is shaking. For those of you that can do this without any shaking whatsoever, you have the strength. But in doing it slow, it tells me the things that I am deficient in. Personally, I need stronger core. I need my hip flexors to be a bit more pliable and a bit stronger. I need whatever ligaments are in this area to be more stable. Because that's going to affect, I think, greatly when I do it with speed, with strength, with force. Or at least that's the idea. I'm trying to refine the weapon, not just mentally, but also physically. And going slow has become one of those tools that really shows a lot of my deficiencies, both in understanding and in my ability. And hopefully, by doing this, I can learn a great sense of myself, like these older practitioners, that I can adapt a lot quicker, that I can refine a lot sooner. Because I believe that this happens naturally no matter what we do, as long as we do it long enough. But if we do it fast every single time, then it takes the brain longer for it to catch all the little nuances, all the little changes and shifts. So it may take 20, 25 years for some people who are doing it at a certain speed, or I may be able to shorten that time if only I learn to slow the hell down, no matter what I'm doing, and really let my brain understand everything that's going on. And maybe I can shorten that time by a lot less. That's the hope, because unfortunately we don't always have 8 hours to train a day. Sometimes we only have 15, 20 minutes. But how much can we do in that time? And how useful is it? So, just an idea again. Thank you again for joining me on another one of Nain's shorts. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share with your friends. Get them to like and subscribe, because the numbers do help. exactly how I can explain it because I don't really know, but I'm told it does. And if we want to continue these videos, it goes a long way into being able to do so. So thank you again for joining me. Till the next one, hope you have fun training. Hope you got something out of it. And if not, at least a good laugh. So as usual, 3, 2, 1, cut!